My name is Jessica Katz, and today's video is going to be about how to get a job, and specifically your first job. So this video is made basically for a lot of people who are just coming out of high school or people who have never really had much job experience in general. These are tips and tricks on how to really put yourself out there and get a job easily. So my first tip is to really develop your skills as much as possible before you go out into the workforce or the working environment, because when you are about to get your first job, you don't have a lot of experience behind you, and unless you have a good source of nepotism, which is, if you don't know, is just getting a lot of help from family and friends for money, and unless you have good references through volunteer hours, you're not going to be able to really have that many people to back you up. So your best source of credibility for how good you are at a job is going to be the skills that you have and anything that you have to show for it. You may not have a resume, but if you have anything to show that you're good at something, that's what you can kind of work with. Now, when it comes to retail kind of jobs, it's going to be a lot harder to do something like that because they typically just kind of look for somebody who has an application sheet. They don't really care too much about who you are. They just need to fill the position by the end of the season or whatever. But when it comes to jobs who really care about you on a personal level, which is the kind of job that I go for these days because it really gives me a chance to show who I am, and my skills are used to the fullest, and that's what I appreciate because they know me. But when it comes to jobs like that, that do get you on a more personal level, just showing anything that you have on the backbone can really just help out. So, an example of this, all throughout high school, before I ever got my first job, I did a lot of different things where I was just developing skills and really purposefully just trying to find things that I enjoyed doing to see, and it was really not just for a job, it was to see what I could do by the time I got to college. So I tried as many things as possible so I wouldn't have to decide too much when I got to college. So I did mock trial for a year and a half, I did concert band for a year, I did jazz band for 2 years, playing in both bands. I did saxophone and vocals. I started my own vocal jazz trio, did that for a year and a half. I did my own cosmetics club, and then I also did art for a semester. I did drama for a year, and I think that's it. And then I would always draw on the side. I've been drawing since I was little. But yeah, I did a lot of things in high school. I was more concerned with developing who I was than grades, and not that you should be. If your goal is to get into a great college, just up to par with what you want in your dreams, and do that. Please just do that and focus on that. I knew that I only really cared about going to a state school, and I just really wanted to get a bachelor's, and so I focused more on these extracurricular things. But in the long run, I don't regret it, because by the time I was going out to get jobs, I did have my run at a couple jobs that I didn't really enjoy very much, which were just fast food jobs on the side. That is more of an application process, just what kind of skills do you have? Are you hardworking? Are you going to show up? Can you learn fast? But when it came to the jobs I actually ended up liking, it was based on a way more personal skill set, because typically these days I take a lot of teaching jobs. I work with kids a lot, and that you can't, other than being able to babysit, you don't really have much to work with. So I would just tell them, oh, I watched my little brother, who was 10 at the time, but I've watched him for years. I know a lot of kids. When it came to being able to teach kids anything, I did all this stuff in high school, I would love to develop lesson plans to be able to teach them, because a more basic level of it. I was a camp counselor for my first full-time job ever, and I taught kids how to play chess because I wanted to learn myself, so I would teach them the basics to get better. But yeah, that's the thing. Just any skill that you have that you can bring to the table when it comes to one of those more personal interviews where the boss really just does care about who you are, which personally is my favorite kind of job, because it just shows that they're not going to just try to drop you like a hat, and the first mistake you make, there's a little bit more leeway when they personally they genuinely like you. So yeah, definitely develop your skills. My second tip would be to get rid of any shyness you can. Like, absolutely, shyness will not help you whatsoever when it comes to trying to find a job. You know, if you're going to be stuttering, if you are timid, like if you have an actual a speech impediment, that's fine. But if you are stuttering out of nervousness or because you just don't do well, personally, I actually do have a lot of social anxiety, and people don't know this about me, but I really do have a lot of social anxiety, and I try to channel it into something that is going to be rewarding on my part, in terms of like I'm a perfectionist when it comes to first meeting somebody, so I try really hard to impress them, and it's really bad because if I overthink it, then I'm really not connecting with them on a personal level. But so I try to tune down my anxiety, tune down my nerves, and just show them the best of myself, and that's really what you want to do. It's kind of like a college application. Sorry, my puppy is eating paper. This is my puppy, Reggie. Say hi, Reggie. Say hi. Say hi. Nope, he doesn't want to say hi right now. This is my puppy. Okay, but yeah, anyway, it's really like one of those college application essays, but you're kind of doing it in person, and you're just kind of giving a speech of it. But make sure that, you know, you're not shy, that you're willing to open yourself up a little bit, get personal with your boss. On that note, when you are doing the interview, ask the boss a couple of questions, because obviously the ones who are going to go off the script, and there are bosses, I'll tell you this, there are bosses who go straight off the script on like questions you should ask the interviewee. And a lot of the questions will be something like, you know, why do you want this job in particular? Like, do you think you could do this? Like, and they'll, it's weird because when they go off script, they're also looking for a scripted answer, meaning none of it feels genuine, and it's really just going to be based on, like, I don't know, I feel like it's really just going to be based on who stands out the most. But in those cases, I mean, you might get the job if they're really looking to fill positions, but that's all they're thinking about, is filling the position. Can this person do it? Did this person show up? When it comes to the personal stuff that is scripted, it just, like, I don't know, just you just got to come up with an answer that is genuine, and it does make you stand out. So that would be my third tip, is stand out as much as possible. Do say something that is memorable, but at least be genuine. Like, just make them remember you, like, that I really want to work with that person. And typically this is going to come from a place where you're not just talking about everything that you would do good for the job and that you're hardworking and diligent, because so is everybody else that wants a job. But really it's going to come from something that you really like to do, because you got to remember, this person who's interviewing you is a person outside of this interview scene, of this job, even of their work. And sorry, my dog is still biting. Anyway, but they are a human being, and they probably have a lot of similar interests as you outside of their job, and that is where they're going to remember you. They're going to make this connection. And if you say, like, oh, I do music and stuff like that, and they happen to have done it in their lifetime too, or if you guys happen to like a favorite band or whatever, you know, even a simple compliment like, I like that shirt, where did you get it? If it's someone who seems like they would respond well to that, then right there the conversation takes a tiny dip in a different direction, but that's okay, because it shows that you can be personal with somebody. Oftentimes, the minimum wage jobs that you might go for in the very beginning, when you're first looking for your first job ever, is going to be something where you have to get personal, especially with like customers, people, with complete strangers. And if you do that, you show that in the interview itself, it's going to make it, it's going to show that you already have that skill right off the bat, and you don't have to fill out a piece of paper that shows, oh, I think I have this skill. So definitely do that. In terms of your basics, dress the part. You don't need to overdo it. Don't act like you're going to a fancy ball, but definitely do some maybe kind of like casual business. Like if you ever go into like a Wells Fargo, do like a notch down from that. Like even what they're wearing is probably good. You know, don't overdo it on makeup, I would say. I mean, that's up to you. If you have a personal style, fine, but some workplaces really just want to see that you're gonna come in as an employee and not an over-the-top eccentric person. Like, it really depends on where you're working, though. Like, if you're gonna go to a makeup store, then by all means go all out, because they want to see your skills. But yeah, again, showing your skills in any way possible is super important. So remember to know your environment as well. That's another tip, is to know your environment well. So if you're in like a cosmetic store, like you're applying to Sephora or you're applying to Ulta or something like that, you want to definitely don't go in there not wearing makeup, because that's a really big mistake to, you know, go into a makeup store, apply, and not have anything on and look like you don't know what you're doing with makeup, or don't come in with floppy makeup. But really, the moment you come in there, you got to show you a sense of fashion, and that you have a sense of like cosmetic skill, and you can do that just by showing them. Walk in there and be like, I did my makeup today, it looked great, look how good I am at doing this, without even having to tell them, and then you look humble. Now, if you're going into a completely different environment, like a food restaurant or whatever, in this case, it's gonna be about you know, if you don't have references, if you, like, because they're gonna look and see what's your experience before this, especially fast food places. But a place like that, in this case, if you don't have references, what you want to do is just say, I cook a lot at home, like I know these things, like just give some examples. You can even kind of give details on certain dishes that you've cooked and kind of show them. And in this case, you know, you really just kind of, you got a 50-50 chance, and like if they think what you know and what you're reciting right now to them is good, make sure it's real. I mean, you don't want to come up with nothing. But yeah, so dress the part, know your environment. That is absolute key. Like, you want to play it to your audience, but don't be fake about it. You know, you want, the key of all of this is really just to be a genuine person. They want to hire a human being. At least a good company will hire a human being and not a robot, and not just an application paper. I mean, sometimes that will happen, but the jobs that I go for now have nothing to do with just a simple application. And I keep my jobs in which I, you know, knew them on a personal level, because over time, your coworkers and your boss can actually become like family. So it really depends on what kind of job you're looking for. But definitely know your settings, and don't be shy, and develop your skills as much as possible. If you're not in high school, that's fine. You can spend time, your extra time, trying to learn something new, and it also shows that you're a well-rounded person, that you're interested in life outside of yourself, and you're not super self-absorbed, and you're just interested in learning, and it'll show that you're a fast learner. It shows that you can develop skills on your own, and that's what you're supposed to do within the workplace. Oh, and a few last tips would be, do research on the company that you are applying for. If you really want that job, do research on it, because it shows that you care about that company in particular. And make sure that any possible questions that they might come up with that are just very generic, like, do you have a means of transportation? Like, what is your skill set? How old are you? Do you kind of have the general knowledge of this? Whatever. Know those answers right off the bat. Just immediately answer them, and in that case, you can use YouTube to look at your generic job interview questions. But also, on the very last note, not being shy is a big thing, because you can also make a lot of friends who can help you kind of get jobs. Not that you should make friends for that specific reason, but you should definitely be able to socialize a lot, because sometimes your friend's just like, hey, my mom needs another person working at her shop, you need a job, and that happens. If these tips and tricks helped you, please feel free to message me or leave a comment below. And if you have any other questions, feel free to also comment those as well, so that I can hopefully answer based on my own personal experiences. Remember that your experiences are going to be different from mine. But in the end, it is about hard work and dedication, and just showing that you have what it takes to be a good employee. And really, minimum wage jobs, don't cry over not getting the job. When I was first starting out, I would be in tears when it didn't work out. And you know, you really can't do that, because any interview experience is good experience for just learning in general about how to go through these things. Most likely, you're not always going to get your first pick, but it's okay. And also, don't be too picky about these jobs, because it's your first one. So just make some cash and keep going. All right. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and bye-bye.